Alrighty, doing another video. It has been requested that I show how to replace binding on a couple of other topics. So I'm going to show you on this super duper old Rawlings catcher's mitt. I think this is hard to hide. I don't really know. I can't really see any of the markings on it. It's pretty fucking old. But we're going to remove the binding. I'm going to show you guys my process for doing that. Now this is a easy repair in concept, but incredibly difficult repair in execution. You're going to see why here in a moment. So let's get to it. All right, got the glove taken apart. Glove has to be taken apart to replace the binding. Kind of a non-negotiable. Sure, you could spot treat like a little spot right here or something like that with if you have the right machine. Gloves got to be completely taken apart. It just makes it easier, and it gives you a really cool opportunity to address other issues. So like for instance, there's a little tear right here. This is a design flaw in this, I think. So we'll add a little patch when we remove the binding. We'll add a little patch right there, reinforce that so it doesn't tear again, or at least slow it down. But yeah, gloves taken apart, and then we're going to start removing the binding. So, all right, removing the binding. Okay, so I'm sure there's a better tool for this somewhere, a little bit more elegant, but I use a utility knife with a replaceable blade. This is a Gerber one. I think it's like $7. Place a blade. I recommend using a new blade every time you do this because a dull knife is more dangerous than a sharp knife. So just gonna get it under there and then gently glide it along the threads like so. Just lift it up. Very, very tedious, very time consuming. You're just gonna go around the entire glove and do this like so. See, now you lifted up that initial stitch. You're just gonna go around and do it. Just be careful. Like I said, there's probably a better knife for this, but the volume that we do this, it's just easier to use a utility knife. I don't feel like sharpening blades. I suck at it, so I just use this. So just go through and very gently. You don't want to poke through the binding. If you do, it's fine. Just remove the binding like so. Go all the way around the glove. Like I said, very tedious and extremely time consuming. All right, so we split all the way around. So binding is sewed on with 2 stitches. You'll see when I put this back together. There's a initial stitch, that's what I call the base stitch, that lays it down, and it's folded over. And then the top stitch, and what you see, which we just removed. Now you got to remove this bottom stitch. This is way easier than the last one. Take a utility knife. You're just going to lightly pick at the threads. Just go around the glove like so. You don't have to dig deep or anything. You're just tapping the threads. Little pull. Hopefully the binding's not completely sweat rotted out or dry rotted. This one's doing pretty good. Just go around the glove and do that. All right, next you're going to have to remove all this old thread. I mean, you can leave it on there, but it's just going to look really bad. So some tools, seam ripper, get under there. You got to keep in mind it's dual bonded nylon thread on most gloves, modern gloves. So I use this, go through. This is the worst part. All right, now we're almost ready to sew. We got majority of our thread taken off. Put a little patch right there. So this right here is Japanese tan US steer hide. We get it imported from tannery in Japan. I have it split down. I split it myself. I also you can find someone on the internet to split it down for you, but it's about 1 ounces, really thin, and it's about 1 1/4 inch strips. Okay. Generally, you want to give yourself enough to do the entire ring, but you can do it in segments if you don't have enough. It's just you're going to have little foldovers or overlaps that are just going to hopefully be hidden by lace. But yeah, so there you go. Start sewing. All right, kind of got it started a little bit. All right, so you're going to do your base stitch like I mentioned before, and you're going to sew that part down. I recommend, if you don't have one on your sewing machine, depending on the machine, this is a post bed, kind of a mess, but a roller seam edge guide. If you don't have one, it's gonna be really hard to be consistent with your stitches and making them even. So I have this set to approximately 1/8 of an inch from the edge. It gets a really nice tight binding, very professional look. The wider you make it, the bulkier and the stiffer you're gonna make the glove. And it's really hard to make the binding look good if you go too wide. So this is approximately 1/8, and we're gonna get sewing. All right, so now we got the whole thing with the base stitch done, pretty even. Now all you're gonna do is fold this over like so throughout the entire glove. You don't really need to leave your workstation for this. On a catcher's mitt, you don't really need to. Fold it over, okay? Go through the whole glove, the whole half of the glove, I guess. Fold it over. And if you're doing 1/8 of an inch, you're gonna see the old, like the old stitch holes. That shows you that you're doing it right, or at least getting it close to the width that you're supposed to. All right, go through, fold it over, and we'll do our top stitch. Okay, so simply you're just folding it over and keeping it taut up against the edge of the glove. Get it nice and smooth. Now, if you pull too hard, you'll deform it. So there's some touch. This isn't an exact science. You just want to get it nice and smooth up against the edge of the glove. And start sewing nice, even smooth stitch. All right, we're all done. A new binding on the entire glove. We replaced this strap here because it was pretty smoked. But yeah. Now you could use, to kind of flatten it out, a little bit more smoother look, because new binding on old leather always looks a little bit off. It's not going to look perfect. Just use a little leather hammer and flatten it out. Don't go crazy, just little taps to kind of flatten it out, especially on the seams, like right here. Looks really good. Now all we got to do is trim. We're good to go. All right, and we're done. All right, so fresh new binding. Now, some frequently asked questions. Why would you do this repair? It really does make the glove look a lot better. It also makes it feel a lot better too. If you're dealing with an older glove, a little bit floppy, just kind of add some shape and structure back to it. It looks really good. And just extends the life of it. You do have to, give yourself maybe like some catch play to kind of get the glove feeling back to normal. But it's a really cool repair to make your glove look really nice. Also, another question is, what kind of machines can you use? I've heard of people hand stitching this. That's absolutely fucking crazy, but you can do whatever you want, whatever works for you. But in my opinion, this is just pro machines and pro equipment get pro results. You're gonna suck at this the first 250 times you do this repair. It just takes a long time and a lot of equipment and a lot of leather wasted to get decent at this repair. So catcher's mitts are easy to do because they lay flat. But yeah, so simply put, remove the binding, get new binding, sew new binding on. That's really what it boils down to, but incredibly difficult and time consuming to get that done. So let me know what you think in the comments.